Talked a little bit about the NBA. It's time to get some NBA expertise from our guy, Chris Miles. Chris. Chris, what's going on, man?
What up, Chris?
How's it going? Fellas? I mean, I guess the All-Star weekend felt like a hangover day after the Super Bowl. I'll tell you that.
Why you said that? It wasn't fun for you?
They got to separate the two because you here's the deal. Like, yes, this wasn't the best Super Bowl ever, right? Like, we all agree. But the seriousness, the competitiveness, the emotions that are on the line after the Super Bowl, it's like, man, All-Star weekend being right after that and talking to people, because it's kind of like the same groups of people, BMitch, you know this. I said to you a few years ago in Chicago how crazy it is to be standing at a party at All-Star weekend and Patrick Mahomes is right there. And I'm like, getting to talk to Pat Mahomes right after he won the Super Bowl. What? But, like, that's kind of the thing. It's like this Super Bowl hangover party where, like, NFL players are there. And I think it's making it worse for the NBA. I firmly believe that. No one has said that. And I'm like, that's my impression that I get from it.
Let me ask you a question, Chris. So all of the basically All-Star games are taking hits, okay? I think they tried to help it out by doing the different, like they had the Europeans against one group, and they had the young guns against the OGs, Shaq's OGs. I think that brought some excitement to it, but why do you think that the NBA All-Star game now is taking so many hits, even from players like older players will hit him? Now Draymond's still playing, and he's straight out there in public. He didn't like it.
Let me explain this to you. And what Draymond said is that was the conversation of the weekend amongst everyone, right? Like, so it's almost like that was the Kendrick versus Drake beef hip hop talk when we were all back there. And the cool thing about All-Star Weekend is you get these organic conversations where, like, yes, Chuck and Shaq, you know this, I get to see them argue about stuff every day, right?
Yeah.
But then it's like Kevin Hart's there, right? And you're like, oh, snap, like this is how people feel, like this random influencer. I didn't know this guy. Funny Marco was there. And they're like giving their opinions, and Vince Carter, you know what I mean? So you get all of these guys. So really what Draymond was saying was kind of the old guy feel of it, of like, yeah, man, I earned this right. I don't want these guys out there. And I understand their point. And they're saying part of the problem with All-Star Weekend is that Adam Silver, the commissioner, is too player-oriented, right? Like, he keeps doing things to try to help the players, and now it's hurting the players. It's like if you let your kid have candy one day, but then they ask for ice cream, and then they want, gummies, you're like, you can't have all the snacks in one day. All-Star Weekend has become the kids is eating all the snacks in one day, and he's got to tone it down.
Talking with Chris Miles from NBA TV on the Rude Guest Hotline. Rude, the most reliable heating and air conditioning products in the DMV. You can follow him on Twitter at Chris Miles TV. NBA All-Star Saturday Night used to be something that was must-watch TV with the dunk contest, the three-point contest, skills challenge, and you thought, okay, maybe they're going to try a little bit harder after some of the things that Wemby had said last year and different things, and then sure enough, opening up the skills challenge, you got Chris Paul and Wemby trying to skirt the rules, and it was kind of downhill from there.
But they asked them before, and they told them they could.
Either way.
I mean, still.
Oh, okay. So here's the thing about narrative, right? Like, I thought All-Star Saturday Night was regular. Like, it was mid, right? Like, you didn't have Damian Lillard show out in Oakland, or you didn't have Steph Curry and Klay Thompson battle in a three-point contest. But we saw a good three-point. I don't think three-point contest was par for the course. The skills challenge, people finally talked about it. It's just something that people have typically ignored. But we got to give credit to Mac McClung, who's my height. Yeah. He's not 6'2". Yeah. He's barely 6 foot. 3 years in a row. Everyone, like, you have to understand the energy about it, where they have to get NBA players to do it, right? That's one part of it. But we can't overlook, and I asked this question on our ride back to hotel, and like, it caused everyone to have an eruption, right? I'm like, is Mac McClung one of the greatest All-Star dunk contest guys? And I asked Vince Carter that, right? Like,
I would have to say yes.
Yeah, he belongs. Yes, that's the thing. He belongs in the conversation.
The dunks he did, you had never seen him before.
First of all, let me explain this to you. not only have we never seen them before, right? But having the privilege of being around the people as it happens and go, whoa, what did we just see? And I think part of it is this. Go look at old dunk contests and watch people's eyes. They're looking at the ball or they're looking at the rim. What Mac McClung is doing is he's looking straight ahead. His feel for where the ball is, where the rim is like Jason Kidd making a pass. You know how you talk about pocket presence with quarterback?
Yeah.
This dude is like Joe Montana of understanding the air. Do you know what I mean? Like his intangibles of his feel for the basketball and the rim and when he's in the air and how natural it comes to him because he's so athletic. It's, to me, he's top 3, 4.
You know what I
Michael
pick up
Jordan,
from
Vince
him?
Carter, Zach LaVine.
I pick up from him where the NBA might want to thank him a little bit because this guy has been so damn good in the dunk contest to where now you have stars saying, I'm gonna be in the dunk contest now.
100%.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The stars ran away from the dunk contest so many times. The greatest of the great did not want to do it. Mike and Dominique did it all the time. But then he comes these last 3 years. He got guys now claiming, oh, I might be in there next year, or you go, I'll go. Before, they didn't want to see it. And I would think that because, Matt being that short, hit the rim, then still dunk the ball. Going up over a whole damn car through his leg wide open, the dude is unbelievable.
And not the hood of the car either.
Yeah, I would love to see some of these damn superstars do something other than go play that fake all-star game.
You know what I think? I personally think?
Mm-hmm.
I think they're afraid of the smoke. I do.
They've been afraid of the smoke for a long time. I've always said that.
Well, and here's the deal. I had the opportunity to speak to the guys from the NBA office because we're like, here's how it happens. So for instance, my show was like the practice, right? Like my big hurrah is something that no one, like you're not paying attention to Saturday afternoon practice, right?
Uh-huh.
But here's what happens, BMitch. This is where you see who. I can focus on some of the positives, right? Like Kevin Durant, Trae Young, Victor Wembanyama, Donovan Mitchell, Damian Lillard, Steph Curry. These guys show up for the fans, right?
Yeah.
They show up to do the interviews. They show up to talk to us, right? Here's the problem. Steph Curry should have been in the three-point contest, but he's being pulled in so many different directions because they have all of these sponsorship obligations, all of these extra contracts. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So Steph is like, look, I can't show up to this. Dude, practice. I got to rest. Like, I can't come back after All-Star break more tired than I would be
but you know what I can say?
4 games in 5 nights.
He has been in the damn three-point contest.
Yeah.
There are a bunch of guys who are dunk artists, and they have never been in the dunk contest. See,
I mean, John Moran has no excuse.
As John Thompson always
Edwards.
said it, John Thompson said when guys were coming up, they always played one-on-one on the playground. You didn't care if you win or lose. You weren't afraid of the competition.
Yeah.
These guys don't grow up playing one-on-one in the playground. They grew up being favored and being pacified.
Oh, wait, hold on, B-Mitch. That means you watch my interviews? Did you watch my interviews this weekend? Is that what you're doing right now?
I say John Thompson, dude. I used to work with the man. I heard it every day.
No, B-Mitch, this is what's hilarious. What you're saying is what I was saying to the guys this weekend.
Uh-huh.
I got to send it to you, my friend. I asked Kevin Durant, Anthony Edwards, if they're going to add one-on-one. Like, hey, let's put one-on-one on the weekends, right? It got Ant-Man excited. Look, man, I talked to Anthony probably 3 times over the weekend, right? And one was a formal interview. And for him, I can see it in his eyes. The game isn't serious enough. So, okay, I'm hurt. I'm not playing. LeBron, feeling the same way. Victor Wembanyama out there visibly frustrated. Let's go one-on-one. Like, if these guys play one-on-one in the Olympics,
hell yeah.
like they play full court one-on-one. The women that are doing the unrivaled basketball, the WNBA players, they're playing one-on-one. And it's like, are guys afraid to be Brianna Stewart where they get beat 12-0? Is that what it is?
See, I understand your point, and it goes hand in hand with what John was saying. When guys were growing up back in the day, you always went one-on-one. If you lost, you lost. You give them the next time. These guys are afraid because they have to protect the best. They have to protect their 5-star. So they don't play each other one-on-one because if they lose, then someone say, well, that 4-star beat you. Guys didn't care about that back then. They care about that now. And I think that's why we don't see a lot of the competition in the All-Star game.
What's crazy is to the point that you're making, they play one-on-one all the time with the cameras off.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
If you go,
I want to see it.
If you go to the arena, yes, this is what they need to do. For hands down. And here's what's crazy, right? And I know you know this, BMitch, because you were at the Super Bowl and you're on Media Row, and you ask a question, and a player feels obligated to answer the question, right? So I'll give you an example. I think I asked, maybe it was Kevin Durant about just a generic question about the weekend or something, right? And he answered, and he looked at me like, cool, good question, like whatever, dude, right? But I asked him his top 5 players in DMV history. The guy almost jumped out of his chair to answer the question.
Uh-huh.
So I say this to tell you this. When I ask Kevin Durant and Anthony Edwards, do you think they should add one-on-one to All-Star Weekend? Both are like, yes. Like, that's what we want. Yes. I want to play against that guy. I want to play one-on-one. I'm like, then that needs to happen.
Yeah.
Because these guys are like, look, like if you listen to Ant-Man's answer on the dunk contest, he's like, look, I'm not practicing. I'm an in-game dunker. I'll dunk on you, right? But I don't know how to come up with creative stuff. And if you watch Anthony dunk, he's not doing, crazy stuff with the ball. He is jumping like into Chet Holmgren's head and punching it through, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's part of it is like these guys are like, look, you see what I do in games. What am I going to do in a dunk contest? And that's what happened with Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown felt kind of like embarrassed because he was terrible in a dunk contest. But in game, he does better dunks in game than he did in a dunk contest.
Well, and I think talking with Chris Miles on the Rude Guest Hotline, I think it kind of fits with what the NBA tries to do, where they market the individual players maybe more so than any other league. So being able to say, hey, Anthony Edwards is going to go up against Steph Curry one-on-one, or you're going to have Wemby against Kevin Durant, and be able to say these guys, and it's a more individual sport in that way, in the way that they market it, I think it would fit in perfectly with what they're trying to do.
Start pushing it, Chris. I think it should be there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure one-on-one is going to be there next year, judging from the players' reaction. And here's the other thing, BMitch, and you know this once you have the privilege of, like, talking to people who make decisions, right? Mm-hmm. And I think I could say this name, and I think I'm okay. So Joe Dumars, former Pistons great, is part of, the group that makes the decisions to change rules for the regular season, right?
Yep.
So we're standing there in the tunnel, and he's like, hey, Chris, I like what you said the other day. I was like, oh, cool. And I'm like, I don't think guys should be, fans are tired of the team that's ahead being able to foul at the end of games. He's like, what? I'm like, we all talk about the free throws and the end of games, because the NBA, the games are better than they've ever been. I don't know if you know this. People aren't really paying attention. I have to watch every night. This is the best games have ever been, point blank, period. And I was like, the thing that fans are getting upset with is you get to end of the games and it slows down too much.
Yeah.
Right. The fourth quarters are taking too long. He's like, so what do you think, Chris? I'm like, this thing where coaches are outsmarting themselves, where they're up by 3 and they foul the opponent. Fans lose it. They hate it. Should make that a technical foul. If you're leading and you foul on purpose, then the team that's down should get a free throw and the ball back. And he's like, oh.
Because they try to take all the other fakes, all the other, when they do on purpose things out the game, take that out the game.
Yeah, he said, good idea. And that's what I mean. I think you need to have people who watch a lot of basketball, who are in it, kind of be involved in these decisions. And stop trying to make, like, look, no one wants to see the rising stars versus Steph Curry. You know what we want to see? What was the biggest event in basketball this past year? Gold medal game in the Olympics, hands down.
Yeah.
Gold medal game. You know why? France is coming. So if you had Victor Wembanyama, Giannis, and that's what they kind of try to make a facsimile with the way that Chuck picked his teams. Yeah, the international team versus the Americans. Because the international guys have won the MVPs. That is what East and West was. Let's see it. Let's see it. Because right now, the international guys might mop the floor with the Americans. And people would be so intrigued. You have the element of the Olympics, right? And with NBC coming in, NBC has the Olympics. It still has that same kind of like narrative and concept. To me, that's the way to go. Instead of trying to do all these overcomplicated things, go with what's working right now and do that.
Well, and Chris, if you want to get Americans fired up about something, tell them that someone else is better at something than the Americans.
We'll find out real quick.
You'll get Americans back into that thing.
We'll find out real quick.
So, if I know us at all, I think you say that the internationals caught up or maybe passed them, they'll be a little bit frustrated. Chris, appreciate the time, man. Always good to chat.
Man.
All right, BMitch, I'm going to send you those videos, too, so you can see me and you on the same page.
All right, brother. Do that.
All right,
bro.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate Chris Miles for joining us. Give him a follow on Twitter at Chris Miles TV.